Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is November 5th, 2024, and we have special guest, certified facilitator, and one of the most magical, potent people I've ever met, Cassy Summers.
Hello.
Hey, welcome, Cassy. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, how you doing today?
Good. Yeah, it's like a beautiful, glowing, vibrant day. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yeah. It's elections day in America.
Oh yeah,
I had a
that too.
I had this question. So it's like, what contribution, energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mystery, potency, power, and profitability can we in our bodies be for, well, elections today?
I love that. Yeah,
Anyways, I was like, okay, we're doing this podcast today. I just wanted to mention that.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're a certified facilitator and your website is as if by magic dot spaces slash
That's
services. There, yeah.
as if by magic dot space.
Is dot space.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. That's pretty sweet. And then you're a Being You certified facilitator, abuse hold practitioner, access bars practitioner, access bars facilitator, certified fucking miracle worker. And then so are you going to the body class in Saskatchewan?
I am. Yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah,
That's
and
a,
then I'll be going to the advanced body class with Gary in Houston right after. So
oh, really?
my body was like, we need to do some more of this stuff. So I listen.
That's cool. I had an advanced body process ran like about a while ago, but it was really cool. Like the
Mm.
processes are awesome.
Yeah.
So what did you want to talk about today? I got a bunch of stuff.
Start with where you want to go. I can talk about anything. I love like engaging.
I looked at the topic of magic and I was like, I know we are it and we be it. And I know like you're a very magical person. So what if you could talk about magic? Like maybe the question would be like, what is it what advice would you have for people who, are wondering about it or wondering like how to be it or
Yeah. Oh, I like that question. I would say stop looking at what other people are doing. That would be good advice. Or what you've seen in the movies, or like I used to as a kid, I was like, I really want to read minds. This was something I was kind of obsessed about. And I would like, and in the movies, it was always like mind power. Like it was the brain, it was the mind, right? So I would like look at people and I'd be like, trying to read their minds. I'll figure this out because I just felt like I had this capacity. It took years later in my exploration with access consciousness to realize I was reading minds all the time. It just didn't look the way it did in the movie. So I wasn't identifying what's happening. I was having thoughts come into my head thinking these are my thoughts, but I'm actually reading someone else's thoughts. What? Yeah. And so yeah, and with anything that you're like, oh, it would be so cool to be able to be this way with magic or actualize this or create this. Ignore every reference point you've ever had for magic, because magic is such a unique embodiment for everyone, how it's going to show up, and it is the exploration of your life. Like that's how you're going to discover what you be with it, what you can create with it, and how you play with your instrument of magic.
wow, that's cool.
Hmm.
I guess if I could add to that, I'd also say like don't make yourself wrong for people who are listening.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you'd said like it's not like what you think it is. So, we watch like well, I watch a lot of, TV. Funny enough, Agatha All Along, it's actually pretty magical. Have you watched it?
I haven't seen that one.
It's pretty good. It's like it's witchy. It's all about witches.
Oh, I love witches. I must watch it.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, it's a good TV show. But it's not what we think that it is, like, shooting thunder from our fingertips. Although I have felt that. I felt like thunderbolts electrocuted my little body
Yeah.
from like I was in like a body class and I was like receiving a body process and then there was a lot going on and then it felt as though like an electric bolt hit my body. It was really cool. It was really cool.
So cool.
No pain at all. So,
What is your journey like for you, Shauna, with magic? Like, did you have a sense of it your whole life? Did you only start discovering it later on? Like, what was it for you?
that's cool you mentioned that. Actually, it was okay, so it kind of ties into another question I was going to ask you. So for me, I had a mentor and it was a family member and she kind of like would take the time to it was very clear spacious energy like
Mm.
like crisp fresh air but what like she would do is like take me out to nature and say okay like let's go for a walk and like so we would like play around with like the clouds so she was like, you can shape and form clouds if you'd like. You can, and then look at this tree, like sense the energy of the tree. You can communicate and gift and receive with the tree. And I was like this little kid. So in my brain, I was like, this tree is just a tree. I don't get what's going on here. And would take me out to like the river and kind of ask me questions like about the river. Like if I wanted to cross it, how would I with nothing, like with just standing there, like how would I cross the river? So it was very interesting because like at that young age, it was so funny because I thought it was so much fun to hang out with this person. And then there was like this other family member who was like, I'm gonna go play video games. Bye. And I'm like, yeah, I want to hang out more. So, that was like kind of the beginning of maybe magic I didn't know. And then like, that always kind of stuck with me going forward. And then basically the only other thing that has been remotely close to anything that resonates with me is access consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess, well, my question for you was like, do you have a mentor? Like, and then this ties into it. Like, if you could have coffee with anybody, who would it be?
Mm. I love that. I wouldn't say necessarily a mentor. I've taken a lot of the Symphony of Possibilities classes. I took Maestro. Those were classes that really opened up a different space of magic for me, and that was with Dr. Dane here. So he was the facilitator, but I didn't have someone that did that one-on-one work like you just talked about. It was like I had to become my own mentor because if I went to books or I went to someone else, what they were suggesting was always smaller than what I was aware of. So I couldn't work with it. Like I couldn't get into it. And then I'm like, but there's this. Like, and so no, I haven't had like the gift of a mentor. And I think that's so beautiful that you did. But if I could have coffee with anyone, it would probably be Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, because he is interesting and he is like one of the high wizards that I know. Yeah, he is like in his little wiggly finger, he can probably create a whole universe. So I think it would be really fun to have coffee with him for sure.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that you said that. Yeah, wow, that's cool. I know, yeah, I will throw in a little advert here. Like I would definitely recommend a session with you because if anyone's
Aw.
looking for a change, like um you have such a capacity with like bodies and then the ability to work with like facilitating anyone on anything, especially like uh entities as well. So yeah,
Yeah. Thank
that's
you.
yeah. And then like I was looking at this just before we started this podcast, and I was looking at like fun. And so like, do you have anything to say about fun? Like what would create more fun for anybody listening if that's what they desire in life?
Yeah, I love that. I actually realized probably maybe last December, I'm like, wow, I've created myself as someone very serious. Like I'm like
Yeah.
maybe it was like the COVID thing. Like everything got so serious. Like, why am I such a serious person all of a sudden. Like, so I've been working on that for the last whatever months. And I actually run this clearing every morning to be as lighthearted, cheerful, joyful, and less serious as I truly be. To kind of like ignite that playfulness. But for me, like magic is play.
Mhm.
You can't really, well, you can. It's easier to be magic when you're light and playful and engaging.
Mhm.
So yeah, if you're looking at like, I would like more play, like more fun, ask what energies are required. Like what it, happiness is you, like it's a choice, it's from within you. And if you're at this stuck point or whatever, you can ask, who could I be engaging with that would ignite the fun and the play in me? My kids are one. They can be so playful and silly. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I don't have to be an adult right now. I can be playful. I have a few friends in my life that are great because they're really willing to still engage and play and play and play. So who could you talk to? Who can you engage with? Maybe for you, it's going and playing with animals, like having like a puppy pile on you. Maybe it's like going out in nature where you're not being judged. That and what is fun for you? A lot of people don't even know. It's like, what's fun for you? They're like, wow. Like, I know it's supposed to be fun for me. Like, take fairgrounds, for example, like roller coasters and all that stuff. So one comes into town. I used to love them as a kid. So I'm trying to convince my oldest child to go. And I'm like, it'll be so fun. And he's like, what makes you think that's fun?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's fun because you're on a ride. And he's just like, and you're gonna tilt me upside down. And I'm like, well, I'm like, wait a minute, like that's not fun for him.
Yeah.
Where am I trying to make? Because everyone says this is so fun, that this is what's supposed to be so fun. He has such a great self-awareness, and he's not willing to like yield to someone else's reality. I love
Yeah.
that about him. So what if you weren't willing to yield to someone else's reality, including the seriousness of reality? Like if fun is your reality, then just go have it, experience it, play with it in the way that it is great for you. If it's been sucked out of your reality, then start to look at and just start to pay attention. Am I having fun right now? Like when you're cooking dinner, am I having fun right now? No. Okay. Is there something I could add that would make this fun? A podcast, Shauna's podcast, or music, or I don't know, take off your pants, like whatever.
Yeah.
Playing with it, right? And then if you start to practice and start to get out, you'll start to get aware the more you ask questions. What is actually fun for me? And yeah, you'll open a door.
Well, speaking of podcasts, like I think it was like 9 or 10 years ago, going on 10 years, you were like, Shauna, start a podcast. And then I was like, yeah, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it for free. And then I didn't want to pay for it. So I never like so basically it makes it a world easier to just pay for, the platform and just start. But it took me 10 years. So now here we are.
Has it been fun?
Oh my God, so much fun. Like I
Yeah.
love it. Like it's just the funnest thing ever.
Yay, that's so awesome.
And then like with the seriousness thing, yeah, it's interesting because it's like, um, I was I was thinking, oh, is it because we're Canadian? We're so serious. I'm just kidding.
Maybe. It takes a lot of seriousness to be as polite as we are, I think.
Oh, right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You had mentioned parenting, and so I have noticed that when I'm not a parent, however, I've been facilitated by, people's kids a lot by, the light things they say that's actually profound. So I
Mm.
was just wondering if you had any like funny stories or profound examples or lessons from your kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
so like a million. My kids are such a gift. Like it's so interesting parenting, right? Because a lot of parents have this idea that I gave up so much for my kids. Like it's like this sacrifice. It's um where you give yourself over and you give yourself up for them, and you have this burden until they're like, it used to be 18, but come on, kids are not moving out till 25, some 30 now. So it's like 30 years of your life, right? Like it's insane. I moved out when I was 17. And I hear of these people, they're 25. I'm like, you're still at home? No way. Crazy. But my kids have never been that for me. My kids have always like not only allowed me to have more of me, but demanded that I have more of me. Talk about creationship. They will kill me if I'm trying to be someone else. Like I there is no safety for me. I will die. There are these potent little dragons. And it's such a gift to me in so many areas. So one thing I would really recommend for parents is start receiving from your kids. Stop like output. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? Okay, yeah, we have responsibilities. We're gonna have their back. But if you're willing to receive from your kids, they relax. They because they came here not well, okay, some of them maybe did come here to see what they could get from you, but a lot of them came here to be contribution. It's gifting and receiving at the same time. So I even look at my financial circumstance, right? I ask, okay, and my kids have said this, you probably would have so much more money without us because I see that and all the whatever. And I'm like, is that even like tap in? Do I have more money with you in my life or less money? And they're like, whoa, more money. I'm like, yeah. So when they demand of me, they want whatever, because kids want all the things. Then I have to step up and be like, okay, where can I create more money? What can I be that would actualize more money? So they have been this massive gift to me, this massive contribution, and a willingness to really make me look at my own shit, my own like stuff when I grew up, the parenting that I received, the parent that I want to be in the world. It's been such a beautiful adventure, and that's how I see parenting. I've had so many people ask me to facilitate parenting classes, and I'm like, well, I don't really parent. Like I don't feel like I can do that. And it was actually my sister that was like, no, but that's what makes it so beautiful. She's like, you facilitate, you contribute, you like create with them, you don't do parenting at them. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess that is pretty different.
Yeah, so I mean that does sound like it could be a class all in its own, like talking about parenting and how, I mean, it doesn't sound like there's a guide,
No.
like how to. It's like,
Definitely not. I read all those books.
oh, have you?
Oh yeah, I was gonna be the perfect parent. Like I was researched. I studied well. Yeah.
I guess, I mean, is it always being in awareness and question? And is it like a 10-second increment? Like you're kind of, maybe being an X-Men too,
Mm. Well, that's exactly it, Shauna. It's like Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Conscious, he talks about like creating on quicksand. It is that quicksand thing. Like you have to be present, you have to be in every 10 seconds. Especially I have my oldest kid has been diagnosed officially with autism and ADHD. My youngest kid is an undiagnosed ADHDer. Like they are X-Men to the nine. And then I have my own X-Men stuff. And if you guys don't know, X-Men is what we affectionately call those with ADHD, autism, OCD, all those wonderful things. So we have all these like super like aware people with capacities, and we have to constantly be dancing with each other, growing with each other. You can't just like shut off your awareness for the night. It doesn't work that way with these kiddos anyways. I'm sure there are some kids out there that can be that way, but that's not what I signed up for, I guess. I'm lucky in that way. Yeah, it is really being in 10-second increments. You can't conclude, you can't do what your parents did, you can't rely on reference points. It's okay, what now?
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, because I don't know if we could call it evolve as we're on this planet, it's like there's so many things changing. Like, I think I was watching this documentary. I don't know what it's called. I think it's on Disney. It's about, children with the electronics nowadays. And they actually did a very good documentary about how it's in America where they kind of make it very significant, like as to what material they're putting out there and how connected they are to that. So like, it's kind of like going forward, you can't necessarily, like you said, do what your parents did back then. Because
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't have cell phones.
No.
I don't know if I'm dating myself, I'm like, back when I was a kid.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
that's
I'd lock myself in the room and I would read. Like that was my YouTube, or that
yeah.
was my like, I'm like, I hate everyone. I'm gonna read my book. Like, yeah, because we didn't have the technology that they have today.
I was like always going outside.
Mm,
I mean, told they were like, go outside and play. And I was like, but I don't want to. So we had to make it fun.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was where, and then I spent, yeah, a lot of time outside. And I
Mm,
noticed, oh, when you talked about magic and asked me that question, I noticed with myself, and if another person knows how to do this, I don't know what it is, but there is magic in sound. And
mhm.
I don't know if it's tones, but sometimes I can see sounds. You know, it's very interesting to talk about that. That kind of I
Yeah,
don't really know how to explain it.
you did. Yeah, you can see sounds. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah, and what can you create with that, I wonder? Like how could you play with that and grow that? The reason I say that is because the more we grow our capacities and play with it, we're bringing magic to this planet. We're making this planet more rich with magic. So well, I think one of my like callings, I don't even know if that's quite the right word. It's like I just know that I'm here to facilitate that in the world. And so I get excited. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, how much fun can you have with that?
Well, yeah, and another thing is with all the awareness, like so with being aware and being able, like if maybe, I don't know if you have the same capacity, but like if you can see things, like whether it's being a psychic, being able to see what someone's doing, seeing what, wow, there's a lot that just happened there. And then what can happen. So like, and then being able to see, potential future outcomes. So all this stuff, it's um, like what do you do with all that awareness?
Yeah, I like it's I love that. I was just um there was this musician and I was talking with him a lot. We were hanging out and I hadn't talked to him for a few days and I had this like I'm just I don't know, making dinner, do something like mundane. And I in my like energetic vision, if that makes sense, I see him get jumped in a parking lot. And I'm like, okay. And then so I had to go to the question, what do I do with this? Like, do I talk to him about it? Hey, I think I had a vision. Do I just keep it to myself? Like what? And I actually got so I asked that question, like, and when I talk about asking questions, you're accessing your consciousness. You're asking a question. I'm not asking the question to the empty room. I'm asking, like, what do I know about this? And so when I asked the question, it was reach out to him right now. So I texted him and I said, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm like in the parking lot at a show that I'm doing, just taking a break. And I'm like, can you go inside? And he was like, why? And I'm like, I just have a weird feeling. Like, just do me a favor. Can you go inside? And he's like, okay. And he did. Was he ever going to get jumped? I don't know. But I know that he didn't. And that's pretty rad, you know? So, what if we were willing to, when we have those things show up, every 10 seconds, you got to ask, like, okay, what is this? Was this an awareness? Was this just, someone else's thoughts? Like, the first question is, what is this? And I got, when I asked that, it's awareness of the future. That's what I got. I'm like, okay, cool. What do I do with it? I reach out to him. I've had other awarenesses that I've never reached out to people because I know like they can't receive it. And in fact, it might create more weird shit. So I'm like, okay, that's their choice. And then can I change it if it's something that you'd like to change? And if so, how do I change it? Again, I kept getting reach out to him. There we go.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's I know a lot of people are afraid to have their awareness. Like I'm afraid to see the dark stuff. I'm afraid. I know someone that has they'll go to places and they'll have um almost like it's almost like memories of crimes, like horrific crimes, and they're like I don't want to know about that, like I don't want to have that, and so they want to cut off their awareness, which is essentially cutting off your magic. I'm like, well, what if you could actually just ask those questions? What do I do with it? Nothing. Okay, cool.
That's 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 cool because it's like sometimes you don't have to do really you it's just an awareness. You don't have to necessarily do anything.
Yeah.
And it's funny as you were talking, what was coming up is what Gary would say is he doesn't follow what people say, like what comes out of their mouths. But the funny thing is when he says he'll watch what people will do, I just got like the psychic download of that. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Wow, I have like a billion more questions. So, and we're like a pretty, so maybe I'll ask maybe one more if you've got time and then we can
Yeah,
wrap up.
totally.
I know a lot of people who are, they have their careers or they have businesses or concepts and ideas. I guess what is an important lesson that you've learned in your career or business? And then what advice would you have for those who are starting out?
I love that you asked this question because business kept popping for me this morning. And I'm like, oh, are we going to talk about business today? Oh, for me, business is completely energetic. It is all energetics. It is all magic. It is, I've had my own business to some degree, I would say for 7 to 10 years. I don't even remember. And I did it really differently. I didn't do it the way I was supposed to do it. I've had like massive growth and then I tried to do it the way I'm supposed to do it and then I would everything would fall. And so for me, the more congruent I get energetically with my business and the more I communicate it with it like it's an entity, because it is, then so many possibilities ignite and never be linear with it. Like don't so there's like this reality, right? Like we're all in this reality. We're functioning from this reality. Some of us are functioning from beyond this reality. Um, and that's all through linear time. A business should grow, right? This is what you want to do. If you're willing to have the chaos of creating a business, it can go anywhere. It can be a circle, it can be a shooting star, it can go anywhere. And if you're willing to follow and communicate step by step by step with it, then you will see miracles show up that you don't expect. I've had people like facilitators, for example, they will collaborate with me on something and they're like, is it normal for you to have like that many people show up? And I'm like, no, this is like half the amount of people I would normally get. And they're like, I'm like, is that not normal? I don't know. Because I don't know what normal is. I don't pay attention to what normal is. I just ask the business, what do you require? Ask the class creation, what do you require? So yeah, a little bit of what does that even look like to communicate with your business? Because that's like a whole universe of things. Ask
Mhm.
questions, like open up to whatever shows up. The way you communicate with your business will be different. It can look like you might get pictures in your head. It could look like you might get ideas in your head. It could look like nothing happens. And then later on, you're like in the shower or driving in your car and you're like, oh, like, oh, where it is, it can look a million ways. But if you just start that energetic conversation and look at the energetics going underneath your business. So when you tap into your business, like Shauna, if you tapped into your business, is it like expansive and spacious and like thriving and like kind of going forward? Or is it like, I'm stuck, I've stopped, I'm confused, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. So if someone were to tap into their business and just, okay, what shows up? That's communication. So if you tap into your business and you feel exhausted, burnt out, avoiding, then okay, what's going on there? What do I need to change energetically? And it's not your business's fault. You can't we like people like to get mad at their businesses, they get mad at they get like to mad at everything because it's everyone else's fault. But if you're willing to go, okay, you're stuck. How do we unstick you? What's required here? What energy is required here? Who could I talk to? What could I do? What could I be? You start to ask these questions. You immediately already just asking those questions, you're changing the energetics of your business. So I could talk about business forever. Business for me is all energetics. That's how I've created miracles that don't make sense. I've had one more little story. We paid someone like $600 to run a Facebook ad for us to build this group because we're doing this big thing. And
Mhm.
afterwards, it was 600 US. You know what that is, Shauna?
Wow.
Canadian. And at the end of it, she was like, "Oh my God, we got 300 people." And I'm like, "Is that good?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, how many did you get organically?" And I'm like, 6,000. I'm
Mhm.
not kidding. And she was like, "How?" And I'm like, "I don't know, like following the energy."
Yeah.
Yeah. So what if like your business wants to thrive and it's just asking it what it requires? It knows what it needs. You just have to ask it what it requires and be present with the energies that are there.
The funniest question was like, so a question is like, what are you avoiding? And then it's like business, like so. Well, like for me, it'd be like, oh yeah, like that's sometimes with questions, it's like, so for example, with what are you avoiding? It almost seems like rocket science, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just right there. It's like, oh yeah, I could, I've got a couple of businesses. I've got the Lucky Duck cleaning services business, and then I've got my facilitation like consulting business as well. So it's like, and it's funny because the consulting business is so expansive, and then the
Mhm.
cleaning business is like, oh yeah, like, might require some actions here. So yeah.
Love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah. Well, I mean, I we can wrap up here. Like, I'm so grateful for you joining. Do you have any other comments or anything else you'd like to say?
I am grateful for you having me on, but I'm also just grateful for you having this podcast. Like you have a really unique way of being on this podcast and I can perceive like what you're generating in the world and I'm just grateful. It's really cool.
Thank you. Well, and thank you for saying 10 years ago, make a podcast. Okay,
You
well,
were saying yes, some people don't listen to my poking.
yeah, if only I'd listened to everything else that was ever said. Well, thank you for joining, and you're welcome to join any other time in the future for another podcast. And thank you to all the listeners for tuning in. All right, okay, bye everyone.
Bye.